Welcome to Let's Talk About It with Advocates Protecting Children. I'm Maria Keffler.
I'm Erin Brewer.
And I'm May Lyle.
And today we are going to talk about a school district in Ohio, the Bethel School District, and what's going on there. Advocates got an email from a newly seated board member, her very first night on the job at a meeting, and the president of the school board threw in a policy. Erin, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. This is happening in school districts across the nation. Thankfully, we have some people who are brave enough to speak out about this, and it's getting some attention on this particular school district. But basically, what it's saying is that any child who wants to identify as the opposite sex can have access to the bathrooms and locker rooms and changing areas of the sex they identify with. Again, we're seeing this nationwide, and I have a couple of quotes from the local Bethel. I guess it's from the superintendent of the school. He says, "Unfortunately, this is not an issue where personal beliefs of a superintendent, administration, or board of education are relevant. The rulings on transgender bathrooms issues are of statutory interpretation, not whether it is right, wrong, immoral, moral, or a violation of Christian values." Oh, that just gets under my skin. So
it is because it's not true.
Yeah.
It's not true. There are no laws in Ohio about bathrooms, and even in workplace laws, that does not apply in schools. It doesn't apply to school bathrooms. It doesn't apply to locker rooms. They do the same thing with FERPA. These school boards and administrations will quote FERPA, the Federal Education Rights and Protection Act. They don't quote it, but they say, oh, FERPA is what makes us not be able to tell parents about children's sexuality or gender identity. FERPA says we have to keep it quiet. No, it's just the opposite. That is a lie. FERPA says that parents own their kids' information. Parents have the right to know everything the school knows about the child. That is what FERPA says. These school boards are lying. That superintendent is lying. And this is wrong. And it's happening all over the place.
And I want to add that even if there was some overarching law in Ohio that required this, which there isn't, but even if there is, we need people who are in charge of our children who are willing to stand up and protect them from this incredibly dangerous ideology instead of saying, oh, there's nothing we can do about it. Sorry. Well, I don't want my kid in a school where the superintendent has that belief and then goes on to sort of pretend like this is somehow a Christian ideology that's coming up. It isn't. This is about protecting our children. This is about truth. This has nothing to do with Christianity. And for him to throw that in there is just insulting. And it also is deflecting again because they're pushing the ideology. They're the ones who are pushing a religious belief system into the schools that is founded on nothing other than somebody's feelings.
Mm-hmm. And every day we're seeing parents or other concerned citizens, they're reaching out and saying, this is happening in XYZ school district, and it's just not, it's not going to be tolerated. And we're grateful for those people that are speaking the truth and speaking out about this.
And again, we've had instances where girls have been raped in bathrooms because of men who are pretending to be women. This is, we're setting our children up to be victimized. We're telling them lies. Let me read another quote. The superintendent, Justin Firk, says, "Our goal is to provide the safest environment for students and staff while adhering to the expectations set forth by the federal governments and court systems." Again, deflecting. And to suggest that allowing boys into girls' bathrooms and locker rooms is somehow the safest environment that they can provide, well then, folks, we need to get our kids out of public schools if this is the best they can do.
And that's what we saw. A grandmother in Bethel District was interviewed, and she said, my grandchild's no longer in that school. And that's what needs to happen. We need to pull kids from schools. Right here, neighboring county to me, Loudoun County, Virginia, a boy who identified as a girl went into the bathroom, sexually assaulted a girl. What happened? The school district moved him to a different school. Kept it quiet, didn't tell anybody about it, moved him to a different school, did it again to a second girl. He was just sentenced. During his trial, it came out that there may be a third girl that he assaulted. At least one of these assaults is being called a rape, and he is now in prison. So how is this safe? How is this safe for anybody? This isn't safe for anybody. This is wrong. Everybody knows it. These cowardly school board members and administrators, they're afraid of the trans rights lobby. That's what this is all about. They're afraid of getting in trouble with the trans rights lobby. And all of us who are parents, all of us who have common sense, all of us who have a stake in the next generation, which is every single one of us, needs to stand up and say, no more, no more.
And I'm so thankful for the school board member who reached out to us and alerted us about the story, as well as a grandmother who contacted the local media and said she does not feel comfortable with her grandchild going to a school where, first of all, they're teaching this absurd ideology, and second of all, they're not protecting the kids. There is something you can do. There's a petition that has been set up, and we'll link to it in the description below. And I encourage you all to go and sign the petition. We need to push back on this in every school district. Anywhere they're proposing this, we need to push back. There are options for children who are trans identified. If we want to humor this, what I call a mental health issue, if we want to humor this a mental health issue where this child is not comfortable going into a bathroom of the sex of their birth, then there are some options for that. But it isn't to undermine the rights and privacies and protections of all the other students in the school.
And it's important that everybody be aware of what's happening. I talk to far too many parents who think this isn't happening in their district. And I talked to my husband's cousin a year or so ago at a family funeral, and she said, oh, my kids are in this great little Catholic school. It's completely safe. It's not happening there. The next day after the funeral, she called me and said, I can't believe this. I was at a restaurant and this waiter, trans identified waiter, came over and started telling us about all the activism that they're doing and that they're pushing into my school, my kid's school. So it is happening. And the way you find out, look in your neighborhood school district's school board policy. Look in their non-discrimination clause. Every school has a non-discrimination policy. It's got all kinds of stuff like religion, marital status, race, all of that. If you see gender identity in that clause, it's there, it's already underway, it's already happening.
And if it's not, it will be soon.
Right. And that's an important thing that you brought up, May, is that if it's not in there, you have a chance to get some good policy in there. And the Child Parent Protection Coalition, I can't ever remember how to say it, the
Child and Parental Rights Campaign
have a phenomenal manual, and we'll link to that as well. So if your school district doesn't, either way, if they do or if they don't, get in there, get them this manual, and make sure that your children and all of the children in your community are protected from this incredibly dangerous ideology.
And if you need help, reach out to us, advocatesprotectingchildren.org. We can help. We can link you with some resources. We can help with this issue.